Alright. This is brand new Spirio M sold. And I was told that it's going to be delivered a week earlier than first thought. So we're going to prep it. I love these shower cap covers. I need to get a hold of some of those for sure for the shop. They're so great. This is brand new out of the box. It's cardboard and things. Gotta untie the old lid prop. Ugh. Okay. There's that. We'll make a pile of trash. We don't need to mess with the music desk. We can keep it. Oh, since it's tied up here. We can keep it pristine. No reason to scratch that inadvertently. And then here's the soft cloth. And we need to undo this guy. I think we're just going to cut him with some scissors. I think that's the way to go here. And there'll be something in there waiting for us that we need to grab. Yeah. And of course, there is a little something in the way there. We'll figure it out. We'll sort it out. There's a little dowel. Holds things on the keyboard. This is super soft cloth. I might want to keep that for putting tools on or whatnot. Take off the key slip. And we put it over here. You know the drill. We will loosen the screws. We'll see how this one's coming in. Oh, the usual, forgot to clock in. Let me do that. Forgive me if I do. Jeffrey Boyle, hi Jeffrey. Just gonna note the time here. Time is, and we'll figure it out. Okay. Got that loose. Got this loose. Almost. Let's see if this will come out or not for us. See what was in our way there. I'm not certain. Something was. Okay, fall board. Set that aside. Oh, it's just this plug that they have was in the way there a little bit, so that's okay. All right. It's 1:30. My stream earlier got cut off because my battery died, of course, and I didn't know any different. I just kept working. Okay, we have to unwrap some things here. I like to take this cable out, then I have more room to put my hand without breaking something. So that'll help. And we'll get the action out here on the table. Just put you there. And we're going to just pull off these rubber bands on the stick. There's the stick. Good for kindling. Alright, then we have to have a covering over the solenoids in here. I'll show you this. Let me get in there a little bit. And that covering has come off, it looks like. It probably wasn't intended, but let's get you down there where you can see. Nice and easy. Okay, there we go. Get you down there. That's supposed to cover the solenoids, but not a huge deal. It's just extra precaution for dust to stay out of there. Alright. And then some electronic sticky wrap on there. That's kind of new. Get all the pieces of tape, all the sticky wrap over the solenoids, and the dust here out the side. We don't want that dust there. We don't want it falling in the solenoids and causing a problem. So we're gonna take that out. And while I'm in here, I like to do things efficiently. I need to clean all these out. So I'm gonna get my vacuum, and then I'm gonna brush all these out preemptively right now, because I know I'm gonna want to. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to need an extension cord. Grab my extension cord, be right back. Anytime you tip a piano on its side, you're likely to find some things that gravitate towards that straight side of the piano that it's tipped on. You know, you can clean out a piano over and over and over and still have things in there. So that's what we're going to be vacuuming out here. Cleaning that. So, without further ado, I'll tell you a little story. I'll tell you a little story. One time I was prepping one of these pianos, and it was a situation where it had to be ready for the customer quickly. And I went in here and I vacuumed inside on top of the solenoids here. And I was just vacuuming. I don't remember if I heard or saw a spark or something. I heard something, you know, kind of arc. And then all of a sudden the board was like fried, or something was fried in there, and we couldn't, and it was done for. And yes, the piano was plugged in, and I called Steinway and the support team for Spirio, and I said, hey, I was doing this and this happened. And anyway, I had to do a part switch out from a piano, another piano on the floor, to get that piano working, which was fine. But I said, you know, I was doing this, and they said, well, that shouldn't have caused it. But ever since then, I'm very careful to make sure the piano's not plugged in when I'm vacuuming around the circuit boards. So I don't know. Static electricity did something. I'm pretty convinced on that one. They said it wasn't my fault, but I still kind of felt like it was. Okay, now what I'm going to do, these solenoids are designed, they just come right out, you know, and down below it's just an open hole, and so it's meant so that particles, if they get in there, can work their way down and unwork themselves out of the sticky situation, no pun intended. But before I, you know, with a new piano, I like to brush through the bobbins and with these brushes preemptively before we go and regulate it and adjust things. And it makes sense the first time I take the action out and this is exposed, might as well do it then, since I don't have to take the action in, out, in, out, in, out. Even though it might be potentially some hours before I would actually get to where I can regulate these solenoids and the player system, because I'm probably going to want to check a lot of things on the action first, and depending on how that goes, we'll get back to this. I can tell the sostenuto pedal's messed up after being in transit, and it might just be an adjustment, or again, like the last one we did, that Model D, it had issues with sostenuto because the pedals were just different. So I don't know what happened there, but this looks kind of similar, so we'll see. Sometimes it's just the dowel that pushes it up out of place or whatever, but usually I don't find out with sostenuto, just the sustain pedal. So I'm just brushing in and out here. You don't want me to put any kind of lubricant typically in this situation, and it, you know, typically doesn't need it. So, and these come in working fine. I'm sure if I had plugged it in and played it, it would be fine. That one got stuck a little bit for whatever reason. Just even a little piece of sawdust can cause an issue. So these solenoids push up on the back of the keys, and that's how the piano plays, of course. It's just a thing of an electric coil, my understanding, and there's voltage going through it, and it creates a magnetic thing that'll push this solenoid up, and depending on how much voltage you put through it, the power will be different. And so that can be used to be set to the piano, to its current, to its volume, to the weight of the keys and all that, so that it'll be set just right to reproduce what the person recorded on. I'm still getting a few pieces of wood shavings here. I want to get away from the tops of these. Just let them either fall through or vacuum them up. If one of these gets kind of sticking, it's no big deal at all. It's just a matter of usually picking it up, spinning it around, and letting the objects fall through. These systems do work really well. I got to start prepping them from when they first started coming out here in our area. There were a lot of them sold right off the bat. One Christmas I was prepping like one a day, or every couple of days. It seemed like the week leading up to, in December. Yeah, there are some sawdust things coming out of here. That's what they usually cover these, but somehow the cover got torn off on this one, unfortunately. But okay, almost done here. Cleaning solenoids out. Okay. Got that going. Now, I am going to listen to the, I'm going to ease the keys. We'll just ease the keys. We'll just go right, because we know that has to be done. And might as well do it, right? So, let's get easing. Let's get easing here. This is a record model, which is really cool. Steinway record model, and the sensor rail is mounted. It actually secures the rail, but also some of the hammers down. So when we're doing this, when we take this off, some of the hammers will be loose, and we'll have to put some screws in there to tighten them back up. So I'll just keep that down there. There's some spacer tape there that was on this rail we'll put back. It's lost its sticky. For whatever reason. Okay. So then, now they were going to switch out these screws so that they were a length that would work with either, because I have a special set of screws that sometimes I switch those out with, because these have to be longer because they go through the rail. But I think these will now work for whether the rail's in or out. I think they've got an appropriate length there. Let's see if it works. Yeah, that'll cinch it down okay. So I don't need to worry about getting out my special screws. Okay. This. Again, these are the hammers that coincided with where the anchor points were for the sensor rail over the base section. So we have to readjust these, and we have to kind of get the sensor rails out of the way to do our normal regulation adjustments and check everything. Plus, it's just a good thorough check of the piano and make sure everything's going to work just great to be able to get this deep into it. I have some paper on there that's spacing things, spacing the rail up. I just have to situate there. All right, we will set these sensor rails aside for a while. Sorry, trying to get Zoom doesn't work very smooth when I've got it on. When I've got it streaming there for whatever reason. One thing that's really cool about these Steinway Spirios, if something's, you know, a little weird, I can report it and they'll do something about it. You know, they're really responsive. The support team for these has just been really great. They're on the ball with what few problems there might be. They get them taken care of quickly. And I'm not just saying that, you know, because I'm somewhat affiliated or a lot of my work comes through here, but it really is. It's pretty seamless to get things working. I really appreciate the people they have working on that team. That spaced. We're going to take off the upstop rail. We're going to take off the stack and ease the keys. Okay. Oh, guess what? Look at that. They hardly need to be eased at all. There's just like a few. And side to side, let's check it. Perfect. Oh, that's so nice. Less work. There's one that needs to be eased. You want to feel a definite bump. If you can't wiggle it and feel a bump, then it's not loose enough. And you don't want it to be too loose. But there's just a handful. That's great. This will go quickly. All right. I'm going to grab a little teeny screwdriver and get these lock nuts off of here. And a Phillips. That's what we need. We're going to need that one in a second. Because pianos have so many parts, you might notice, and this isn't all technicians, but a lot of technicians, they tend to move kind of quickly doing things. Again, not everyone. It's not everyone's style, but it's because there's so many parts. There's so many adjustments to do, and you know, you kind of just want to get to the good part. Kind of just want to get it all done. And I don't think there's anything wrong with moving fast if you know what you're doing and you're careful. Saves money for the dealers. You know, the customer. You don't take as much time doing your repairs and things. Okay, we got those that hardly off. We'll go ahead and loosen these screws. Really in any order. Doesn't matter. Whoa. think my deadline on this piano is the end of the week this week, so I'm getting an early start on it just to make sure it's all ready to go and no issues. Excuse me. All right. Put this off of here. Tuck these away where they will not get lost. Let me check. Let's see, what's our time? I'm gonna plug in my phone, my other phone nearby, because I thought I heard it chime just a minute. I'll answer questions on the half hour, an hour, like I usually do, like I started to do, like I want to usually do with the shop things. So if you have any questions, feel free to fire away or comments, you know. It's kind of an exchange of information, not just a, you know, hopefully people want to participate in that way. For these pianos, I can use a reamer on the balance holes. And the balance hole, there we go. I check them by putting my finger down lightly on the key, simulating the action part's weight, and just lift them a little bit and make sure that they drop freely. You know, that one's a little tighter. It's pretty good, but it'll get tighter here in Utah. We're pretty dry here. Just in case, I'm going to give it another run with the reamer there. So again, lifting the key up, even though it's not played that way, it's just a way to expose tightness for us to see, so we know, okay, we can ease that a little bit so it'll be more free. That one stays up. It goes down slow, which is okay, but I want it to match the others around it, and they're more free. There we go. Again, like I said, this is going to go quick because there's only a handful. I prepped that Yamaha C7 last week, and it was actually for my brother. That's where the piano was going, and I wanted to do a really good job of it. It was funny because I titled the stream, you know, in the description or something, I said, oh, that one's stuck. I said, oh, a lot of people think, and as well as myself, that, oh, Yamaha could pretty much come out of the box, doesn't take much to get it ready. And I kind of had that impression too. I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see with the C7 versus what I'm doing on the Steinway to really get the C7 prepped to the same level, you know, as best as it can be anyway. And then these, that I do these, I thought, well, let's see what, anyway, that one ended up needing a lot more work.
Yeah.
Hey, Taylor. What kind of noise? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're good.
Well, alternatively, I could.
I think you're fine. I'm just using keys, and I was going to listen to this and see if I was going to lacquer, and then call it good. So I think we're fine. If you don't mind me talking to a black box once in a while. Taylor's prepping some Bostons over there. I think That one's stuck pretty good. But yeah, the Yamaha ended up needing a lot of work because anytime you have to change the key height or level the keys and then reset the key dip individually, that takes some time for sure. It's stuck. Some little ream here. Maybe I'll go from the top also on that one. It might, sometimes they'll get slivers that kind of go with the grain, and you need to either go from the bottom or the top with this reamer to make it work right. In that case, it's just kind of, there we go, let's see. That's good. That is good. And these holes do tighten up when the piano dries out, if it goes to a drier climate, and we are a drier climate here. So sometimes I've had to redo this on some pianos. But if I, you know, the further I go with it, the less likely I'm going to have to redo it, but I don't want to make them too loose for sure. There we go. This piano is going into a private home, not an institution or anything. When I'm kind of feeling my way to put the key back on, I'm not forcing it down. I'm really light-handed, just kind of going back and forth, letting it find its own place and drop. Because you don't want to over-ease these holes. You do not want to do that. Why? I think you lose some power in the piano, and also you could get so loose it just feels weird. You can even make a knock, although I don't think I've ever noticed the knock from them unless it's really, really old. But I think more it's just less, it makes the tone less effective, I think. Just some lost energy in there, I guess. Just my guessing on that. These are falling, but I'm just going to give them one turn in the name of climate change. Not actual climate change, but you know. Relative climate change. Yeah, Taylor, this one Kerwin, it was supposed to go next week.
Mhm.
And then he texted me, he's like, actually, the customer just called. He wants it a week early.
He wants it tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely not tomorrow.
He'd like it by this afternoon.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't look at your schedule and say, oh, Taylor's going to be in here. I'm going to go jump right on top of his space.
Oh, no, that's okay. And actually, I'll probably just use the quiet work on this other one.
Oh, okay. You know, 2 piano tuners in the same room is great in one way and not in others. You know, those are all free. We're gonna check the front rail, which is that can be the game over one that actually makes the key stick. So if balance rail holes are tight and I go into a home, like I did this morning, and I had to kind of pick my battles and just say, I'll address it another time, because it's probably not something the customer's gonna notice that I eased them. The piano still functions well, usually. So why do we ease them then? I think there's a reason. Okay, I'm just gonna squeeze the wood and the felt on any of these keys that are too tight on the front. So far so good. There's one. So I just reach in here with my tool that has a pivoting arm and just squeeze up and down that felt a little bit. And this adjustment's tricky because it doesn't stay right where you put it. There's another one. It kind of recoils back like a spring, right? So you have to kind of do a couple passes to make sure you got it. So I like to hold the balance rail so that I don't get a false sense of how loose it is from a knock here. And then wiggle it at the front, and I want to feel for that bump up here. Alright. So far so good. And you don't want to make them so loose, otherwise it's like not like a new keyboard, right? It doesn't have, it's not cleanly fit. You don't want it to be tight, but I mean, you want it to, you know, if it stays in one path, it's not wobbly, right? So I think there's a point where this is good for the instrument. Not be too loose, not be too tight. Okay, those are good. I like to check them in the down position because usually when the front of the key is down versus up, because usually that's a worst case scenario for how tight it's going to be. They'll often be a little tighter when the key is down versus up. There we go. Just about through here. If I overdo it, which I've done this a lot, so I don't overdo it as much, but you can kind of tap the wood underneath, like brace it on your knee and tap it with a mallet or a little ball peen hammer or something to kind of mash that back out, the wood a little bit. But we want to avoid having to do that if possible. Like I said, only a handful of these keys. Great. I'm going to check again because these that I fixed, supposedly I need to make sure they didn't get too tight again. That one's marginal. I'm going to just do a light squeeze on the other side. You can go both hands like this and get the keyboard done in half the time, right? Because you can perceive in both hands whether or not there's a bump pretty easily. Okay, those are all set. Maybe this one's a little tight. Just in case, little safety. The weather gets such that that shrinks a little. Okay, we're going to put the stack back on. Quite possibly, we're going to put it back on. Struggling a little there. Okay, here we go. Let's make sure we're zoomed out where we want to be. Sorry about the zoom business, I'm having trouble. Forgive me. Having trouble making sure the camera is zoomed out as much as possible. There we go. There we go. Okay. Oh, a little past 2. We're due to, because there was a question on here. Don Pryor says, he says, do you put new balance rail holes in worn out keys by replacing the wood, or do they call it the shoe? So a shoe is actually part of a design in a key. If a key has a shoe, it's just built into the key, and that's meant to elevate it a certain degree for whatever reasons with the design of the action and the heights. But that's what a shoe would be. But if you're going to do a repair on a balance rail hole that's old, the best repair that I've seen uses wood plugs. So you'll drill out a circular hole and then fill it with a wood plug and then drill the holes new. But that's very difficult because look, the front of these keys is lined up perfectly. You can imagine if your holes are off just a little bit front to back, that you'll mess that up, right? Easy to mess up. So it has to be done with care and with the right setup. But that, if some keys are really bad and replacing the whole keyboard is not an option, that's what you might do. There's another repair. You can make a cut just to the back or front of the hole, and I forget which one wears, probably the front side. A cut just in front of the front, and then you can stick like a thin piece of wood in that cut and glue it in and sand it to shape, and you've essentially decreased that hole front to back. And the front to back is the main issue. So that's a good question. Thanks for that. All right. The back thread this screw. Someone asked me the other day, they said their Steinway has some left to right play. Maybe it was like this one, I don't know, but yeah, make sure it's pulled forward. Tighten this front one first. Then the other side, same thing. There we go. Make sure it's set down where it needs to be. Then I might do the back of this bracket, just so this end bracket is set square where it needs to be, and then, I don't know if square's the right term there. Maybe do the end of this bracket. So now the ends are set without any like torque on them when they're tightened down, you know, or forces that would, and then I figure just tighten the rest however you want. They're all straight board, so it doesn't matter on a Steinway. So I know I haven't even listened to the piano yet, but these are things that I'm doing right now that, like, you know, you're going to want to do. They should be done before you listen to the piano anyway, before you make adjustments to the tone. So just kind of the foundation of the prep on the piano. Okay, that's all of them. Make sure you get them all tightened down. And we'll go ahead and take a listen here in the piano. I'm going to raise you up here. Kind of like on the Josh Groban song. Okay. Let's see what it sounds like. It's all ready to play. Oh, the pedals. There is an issue with the pedals here. We've got some dampers sticking up. While we have the action out, let's examine that and see what's going on with that. Let's see. I think it's just a Nudo adjustment, but we'll see here. Might just be in the pedal. Let me get you down at the right level here. Okay. So these are getting caught on the blade here. The blade is up too high, okay? Let's see if we wiggle the pedal, if it comes loose at all. Solid piano service, this is Hiram. You just want the repair done on it? What are you thinking on that? Okay. So there's nothing visually from the outside of the piano that's weird, that you can tell it's broken. Okay. Okay. Well, first step, we just need to set an evaluation. I go look at it and give you a proposal from there. You know, so the evaluation is, you know, it's 90 to go out and take a look. So, you can get your, yeah, let me just get your info on it. Just set that just a sec here. We might have to go here. Okay. Okay, back to it here. So that sustanuto rod, I'm gonna look down under the pedals actually first to see if that's where the issue is. If it's just a pedal adjustment that's off and we need to just fix that. So I'm gonna get my 2 wrenches. It's funny that this is like deja vu. When I was working on the last Steinway we were doing streaming, it was similar thing. Or I think it was on the D the other week. So to do this pedal adjustment here, that nut and that lock nut, we need a 1/2 inch for the big one, and we need a 7/16 for the lock nut. Okay, and I'm not going to be able to show that very well here, but we should be all right. I'm just going to set you right down underneath there. But essentially, I'm just loosening the nut, and I'm going to make sure. Oh, it's the middle pedal is the issue, and sure enough, there's some tension on it already. There's no slop in the pedal at all, so it might be just pushing up a little high on that. And the lock nut, the adjustment on this is run just about as far down as it can go. So I can't run this down anymore, and that may exactly be our issue, actually. We're going to find out. So the easiest way to do that is I'm going to just detach the pedal from the bottom and totally just undo this so that it's free. Just 1 second there. Solid piano service. Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Okay, I'll make the change. See you tomorrow. Yep, but. Okay, just gotta play it. The middle what?
The middle pedal rod, is that what it is in there?
Yeah. Have you seen that a lot on these?
No. It's just potentially engaging the blade too much.
Yeah, and if it's not, well, really, I want to adjust the nut up higher so that I can adjust the pedal in a reasonable place that has adjustment on either side. That's probably what I'll end up doing. But I just wanted to look at it first. Yeah, the D that I did had the same thing, so I don't know what's going on with that, but it's not a difficult fix for sure, at least. Change that appointment to 10:30. Okay. All right, back to this piano here. So what I want to see now is, now that the pedal's disengaged, is the problem gone? You know, and I can see that that this blade is more vertically down. It's not, because what happens is it tilts in towards there, and those were catching on there. So they're not catching anymore, but the pedals run down all the way in its adjustment. I would much rather adjust this a bit, a little shorter. That'll bring this blade down further, and then I can adjust the pedal up a little bit so that there's some adjustment there still in the pedal if need be for whoever down the road. So I think that's the way I'd like to handle this. And let's see here. So I do this, I should be able to just turn this lower one into the upper nut, and that should swing the blade out. Sure enough. I'm still familiarizing myself with these systems a bit. There's all this hardware in this system, and some of the nuts you don't actually adjust, you know. You just went over that, huh, Taylor?
Certain ones don't touch.
Yeah. It's kind of obvious though. So, like, some just take the thing apart basically, of these nuts that are down here, and others just, you know, they're a lock nut or a nut that's used for adjustment, like this. Okay, so now the blade is lower than I want actually, but these are all tight, so I'm going to go underneath and adjust that pedal adjustment up a little bit. Because right now, well, I have to connect the pedal so we can see anything really. Because I left it disconnected at the bottom. We'll go ahead, push up on that, stick it in his booty here, and then here we're up here. So let's check. Let's just confirm. Well, I already know. I'm gonna lift it up a bit. I already know I can, but I need to loosen that again. It's tightened up on me a bit. So let me grab that. I'm gonna set you on the floor. Okay. So we're going to turn this 1/2-inch nut, and I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. It's probably close to right, to correct now where it is, but just a little bit like that. And then I can bring this lock nut up below and clamp it against. But let's confirm up top that it's working. So now, because we want this close enough, but that's too close again. I mean, it's not catching, but it's a little too close for me. I can feel it. It does catch some. So, you know, do I want to bring this up again? Sure, let's do that since we're up here. So just basically, I'm just going further with what my plan was, which is to shorten this length here by screwing this rod into this nut. I'm assuming there's room to do that still. So I loosen that lock nut. Now I'm going to turn this rod up, and that is lowering the whole mechanism. Okay. It's definitely not catching. It's close to catching up here. I'll go a little farther. So this shortens this length, pulls down on this, which pulls the blade, rotates the blade out. Okay, and I have some room to play with there. Now my pedal's still connected. I can test the system now. I can push the sustain pedal, then the middle, make sure it grabs everything, make sure it kind of falls like rain over the whole thing. It is. I'm going to go ahead and bring this lock nut up. Just tighten him up against there, and that's good. So problem solved. It was just a readjustment of, oh, problem not solved. Look, for this one I might want to run that nut out a little bit. I don't want to run this guy out because I like the angle of it fine, I think. Nah, I'll just go a little further with what I was doing. So I'm loosening the lock nut, turning the rod into this big nut. Yeah, because it was swinging in so far that they were catching, you know. But apparently this one's going to catch no matter. Oh, it's catching. This one is catching on the actual round part, the rod part here. So I do need to back this off. I need to get my Allen wrench in there. Back it off.
3.5 or whatever.
3 point. Let's see. Is this one 3? One of them's 3.5. Yeah. You got to have a metric set. So I always just keep a metric set in this bag. But I think this one's 3. Nope, it's 3.5. So I loosen that, and then I can, once that's loose, then I can move this in and out. Piece of cake, right? There's nothing complicated in this other than the fact that you may not use Allen wrenches to adjust many pianos if you're not doing the Hamburg Steinways a lot. So you're gonna need a set. There, now it's not catching there. Let's test the pedal. Grabs them all. Slow release, they fall like rain. That's great. So now we're fine. We're fine. I'm just gonna tighten this lock nut up here. Up against that big nut. I could grab it with a 1/2 inch here, just to not put any strain, but it's tight enough. And then I'm just going to tighten my pedals, that pedal adjust nut below, in that position where we're at. And that's 7/16 and a 1/2 inch. There we go. Now that's tight. Tight, because otherwise we would have had dampers ringing right off the bat, right? Now the other thing, we are going to have dampers ringing actually, because unless I fix an adjustment with the sustain pedal. So right now the tray, this tray should have a little bit of a gap before it lifts these parts, and it doesn't, okay? And the issue is down below with the pedal. You watch that tray, I'll zoom you in here. You watch that tray, and I'm gonna lower the pedal down below, and you see if it starts to form a gap right here between the red and this part, because that's what we want. And if it doesn't, then it's the player mechanism that's at fault. But I can tell it's not right now. For whatever reason, when these lyres are getting put on out of the box, the adjustments are a little bit more in the face of the piano. They're more engaged for some reason. So I'm gonna loosen this nut down here. I should be forming a gap now, about 2 millimeters down there. And I'll point that out if you can't see it on the camera. And then I'm just gonna retighten my adjustments. The same thing I showed you before. It's that lock nut, the adjusting nut, 1/2 inch and 7/16. So right here, now the tray moves and this part's not moving yet. Then it moves. And that allows there to be heard a click here. Got to determine what's clicking there. I think it's just this sensor right there. Might be clicking. Let's see here. I'm hearing metal noise. I'm not figuring it out right away, but it is this thing. So my sensor's just hitting this flag a little bit. I think I can scoot that flag a little bit back, but instead I think I can just bend my sensor out just a tiny bit. There. This sensor here was just hitting the metal, the flag, and it was making a metallic sound, but now it's free. And the tray moves, and then the dampers move. That's what we want. So now we should be good to give the piano a listen. Let's see if I can manage to zoom out for you here. There we go. Is it time for questions? Yeah, what time is it? It is time for questions. It's 2:30 here. So the questions currently on here are, let me bring it up. Sorry, I'm gonna pull this up a little higher. Okay. Don Pryor says, is there a jig that is used for this repair? And I'm assuming you're talking about for the sostenuto. I mean, you could maybe make one, but it's really easy to adjust those systems on the back. You just learn what it should look like for the distances, and then you don't need a jig or anything. You just put it where it needs to be with the different adjustments. You're just familiar with the adjustments. Gavin Brady says, I was just enjoying the Steinway B live stream. Bit of a shame that it didn't get to the end. Did you run out of power? Yeah, my phone died. So sorry about that. But it was a great piano. It turned out great. I only had to do a little bit of voicing at the end, and that was it. So, okay, we're gonna listen to this thing here. See what it sounds like to us. And this is no. So now my basic. Now I'm gonna bed the keyframe a little bit. Just touch it up. It should be close. These usually are, and then. Oh, Don says for the balance hole. A jig for the repair. Oh, yeah, you could set up a jig, or you just drill your. You basically, yeah, you would have to set it up so that when you drill those holes for those plugs, that it centers on the hole. So the thing that I've seen, Don, that's worked for that is the bit. It'll be some type of like a Forstner bit, and then you'd weld a regular spiral bit in the middle of it. So that basically you put that spiral bit right through the old hole, and the Forstner will make the hole for the plug right in the old location. So in that case, you don't necessarily need a jig other than just a stop on your drill press. And you just need to take some care that you're centering those holes. So that's a great question. That's what I've seen done before. Like I said, I did that repair in school. But it's been a while, and then the person who does my key work now, he's done that on occasion. All right, let's stick the action in here. Already got a bit of drag on the left pedal for some reason. Whoa, that's really mellow because I have the left pedal on. Okay, this is what it really sounds like. Okay, I need to explain. This is the player piano. Damper needs to be worked on a bit. That's kind of some of the finishing stages of the damper touch up there. Let me go ahead and bed the keyframe though first before I say what I was going to say. Okay. So this I'm going to check. I'm going to push the right pedal and the middle pedal with and just see if someone pedals. Do I get a knock? And right now, these are down kind of tight and this is not. So I'm just going to cut it the way it should be. I'm going to set them all so there's a knock. So right now I'm just lifting these just a little bit, and that lowers the key height, but it lifts the glide off the key bed. this piano might have the same disease as the Yamaha. We'll see. Which I've never really seen with the Steinways. So the piano service, this is Hiram. Good. Well, that's a good idea if you want, yeah, because then it'll be sounding good for them. I mean, or you could take the other approach and say they're just going to practice and then just fix it after they leave, you know. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Okay, yeah, let me pull it up here. Right here. Yeah. You show 6628 Old Forest. Okay. So I have a tune on that. The computer's thinking about it. Okay. So we could do Monday, May 20th, about 12:10, if that works for you? You want to get closer, or I've got June 4th. Well, you probably won't be there, so we could do Tuesday the 4th of June or Monday the 10th of June. That also works. Let's see. That point, because I'm out of town. Yeah, I'm out of town, and that's what's not coming up. Yeah, till right before the competition. Yeah, it's the fifth. I believe it's the 15th, or whatever that number is. Yeah, it's that week. Basically, it's almost the whole week before, even though I have the 10th and 11th still open. But yeah. Sure. Yeah, we can do that if you want. So Monday the 10th is about 11:30, and if you'd like, I can kind of just, text you when I'm in and out, just so you know, if you don't get a notification. Okay, what is that? If you have to enter anything, yeah. Okay. Okay, we're not on the calendar then for the 10th. Right, yeah. Got it. Okay, should be good then, so. Yeah, thanks for scheduling, we'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, let's see what we have now. So the bedding was really deep. And right now I'm bringing them all up so I can hear a knock, which means that underneath those glide studs are just about to hit the wood. I know exactly where they are, so that now I can just turn them down a little bit. And I can still pull them up and get a knock. I know I'm not putting too much pressure on it. You know, I was telling you I felt some friction when I pushed the left pedal. This can add to that, although I don't think it's the whole story. I think I'll have to do some other things, but. And if you tighten one of these too much, then it'll make the one you just did knock. So you kind of have to go back and forth to check, right? The ends I like to hit on there's a wood thing where the key upstop rail attaches. That's what I like to hit to kind of feel it knock or hear it knocking. Okay, touch that up. That's an obvious knock. Me and Taylor have dueling pianos right now. Do you know when Roomba plays the tuba? You never heard that one on like Bugs Bunny? I think it's on one of the Bugs Bunnies. Yeah. What?
You have not microed that at all?
Nope. Can you tell? It feels really soft. Even if it's projecting, it feels like to my fingers, the tone response is pretty soft. This isn't too weak or anything, but I'm kind of playing it harder too. Which leads me to what I was going to talk about, but just all in good time here. Let's see. So now I get just barely enough aftertouch, which is enough for the piano to work. It's not like my hammers are bobbling or anything. It's a little thin, but look, remember, I just bedded this just right. I'm not opposed to just cranking down, but before I do that, I want, just a little bit more. And that's where that's an appropriate adjustment. But if you go too far with it, that's where then you end up having to reset everything like I did on the Yamaha. So I'm gonna see where my dip is with this dip lock. We're actually a little deep. Yeah, we're actually deeper than what I want to be. So the problem is not the key dip. The problem is the blow distance, okay? Or I should say the reason why it's not regulated the way we want right now. So I'm going to check the blow distance and raise it on a sample since I'm thinking about it right now. And just see what we need to do to make this piano right. And it's not a big deal to have to change the blow distance. It's not a sacred spec. Let's try 40. Let's try 43. Just from experience, that tends to be a magic number on these. Not like 9 is a magic number, but So 43 will make me bring this up a bit. So I need a capstan wrench. Let's see, I'll bring you in here closer and try and guide you to where I'm looking down here on these hammers. Just kind of testing out, looking through the strings there. No idea 43. That's gonna put me up a couple millimeters. And now, am I gonna go and decrease the dip on this piano to meet spec? Yeah, probably. I don't know though. Maybe not. But now that's where this one here is where I want to set it probably. Let's see. Also, let off is a little far away. I'm gonna set that where I want it and see what I end up with. So I was thinking I would show up, open up the piano, and realize that we needed to lacquer the hammers and then be done with it today. But I think we don't need to deep lacquer the hammers and wait a day. And I'll explain why. Even though it is a little... Okay, anyway, when I do that at 43 millimeters, we're just right. And if I decrease the dip to match this block at this point, let me see. Let's see if I can back up here in the zoom. Trust me, this is more difficult than you'd think when I'm streaming to do that zoom pinch thing. So if this is just a little deeper than the block. If I decrease the dip, oh, but you know what, that key was a little bit low too. Let's see. Nah, I'm still a little deep. A little deeper than this. Which, you know, it's still allowable. You know, as far as making things work. And if I decrease that, I would have to raise the blow even more. I'm already at 43. And I forget what the millimeter spec is on this piano. What is it, Taylor? Is it 45? A blow spec? Yeah. There, once upon a time, there was. For like, they had a blow spec for all the smaller pianos and then a bigger one for the D. Taylor just recently went to a class back in New York, so I was wondering if they covered it or reviewed it. Oh, so they won't say a number, maybe. Okay. Which is smart because you're having to adjust it to make the piano, you know, depending on the piano. So, but anyway, I'm going to go with 43 because I think that's an appropriate distance. And I think it's a little already smaller than what used to be the spec. And that's with the let off set, and the dip is a little bit deeper, but that's okay. I could experiment with the dip just for fun. I could take out a punching out of the B, put it under the middle C. Even though I don't have my dip tools and things like that, I can just do my bare hands. With my bare hands, I'm gonna fix this. Okay. So now the dip is like even there, it's a little deep still. Let's see if I put this in. Just a tiny bit I'm talking. I'm just saying if I get right on, like religiously right on 400 thousandths, which is the default dip spec for the, it's too shallow. I'm just going to see what kind of blow distance do I need to fix that. Okay, there's a hard 400 thousandths, okay? And I would need to do probably 41 or 40 millimeters for the blow. know what blow distance is. It's just the distance the hammer is from the strings when it starts off. So that was 41, and that's a little thin. I would have to go 40, 40, 40 thousandths. It makes it repeat really fast, that's for sure. I actually kind of am tempted to do it this way because it makes the action faster. Okay, so I'm making a decision. I'm going to do that. Yeah, hey, this should be fine to finish by the end of the week. Yeah.
Started good.
Yeah. All right, so I was just having a little conference there, but look, with the shallow dip and the short blow distance, you can imagine, right? Things reset faster. You don't have to travel as faster. You can repeat faster. Notice that, and then here's one that we didn't adjust. It's just a little more clumsy. So I'm not going to deep lacquer this piano like we did with D because it's not a D in a concert setting. This is a player piano that people want to turn on for parties and things. It doesn't need to be huge, and it's pretty well balanced as it is, and we'll just listen to a couple things, maybe refine it is all. So, and then do that regulation, of course. But I do want to check the strike point, see if we can get a little bit sweeter sound, more sustained. That just gets a little more tone ring out of it. than where this had it, where the block was, I think. Yeah, the block is pushing it back. Listen. So this is where the block wants to put it. It's very quiet. You're hardly hearing any tone. Push it up where we want it. That's a clear difference. So obviously we're going to make this adjustment back. Usually these are so you can't go the way you want, but this is perfect. This is exactly where we want to go. Let's see if I can do this just by...
It's the CNC.
Oh, really? The new... They've got new machines. They're able to...
Well, because then it like... Eventually...
The key frame and the key bed match perfectly.
It locates everything better.
Yeah, so apparently they have some computer CNC machines that are doing things on the key bed, key frame, right? Well, key frame isn't done elsewhere, but...
Yeah, but like, you know, like where the interfitting and the rim and the plate.
Oh, like the plate. That's all indexed. Yeah, the soundboard. Everything's indexed better, so you're not having to change the action in the end to match the belly, basically. Which that's been pretty good actually for a while, but better. But maybe even better. Good. Now this is way too tight on here, so we need to change how much this bears down on it. But before we do that, actually, I'm gonna make that probably a separate episode. I'm probably gonna go get some tools, supplies I need to regulate this. And obviously the hammers on this one are set to miss the left string. On the Hamburg I was tuning this morning, they clearly set the strings in the middle of the hammer so that it didn't miss, or it could maybe do either. I don't know what they're thinking, but I think mainly that it would not miss. Because when it misses, you get a real contrast often. So it just depends on your artistic goals there. But yeah, the strike point should be better. All I had to do was turn the screw in the front. I'm gonna do a little more here. Just a little more to the front. Right on top of their pencil line, wouldn't you know it? Yeah. It's just a little more richness of tone. This is the same exact thing kind of that I did this morning. I mean, I went the other direction, but on that Hamburg. This is where they had it. Now listen. It rings out with not any more effort on the fingers. You just get more tone. Okay? I think I'm going to come back this evening to finish this piano. And I'm going to go work in the shop for a bit, get the tools and things like that. But we know which direction we're going. We're going to make the dip less deep. We're going to raise the blow distance. And of course, set let off and all the things that we would normally check. Then it should be feeling great. Then it's just a matter of adjusting the player system and tuning. I'm going to do some voicing perhaps with Paraloid B, not with lacquer. So this is stronger here, but it's ugly. And it's not even stronger either. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So thanks for tuning in here. I'll start things back up, you know, after dinner-ish my time, probably around, I might have an early dinner, so maybe around 5:30. And then spend a few hours trying to finish this up. So that's what we'll do. Catch you then.